Radio Australia, on air and online at radioaustralia.net.au.
Now, we all know the benefits of social media such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram bring us together and make distances very, very small indeed. But some argue these benefits are also doing some young people harm because they're lacking in face-to-face communication skills. A recent poll conducted in the UK backs up their concerns. 77% of those polled thought that social skills were worse than 20 years ago. But now they're trying to rectify it. There's a course being run in the UK that teaches young people about face-to-face communication skills. Seems like we're going all over the place. Joining me to talk about social value of social media is social media trainer and commentator Jordana Borensztajn and Radio Australia's social media coordinator Hannah Classen. Good morning to you both.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Very well. So is it a curse or a blessing, or is it that simple?
It's a bit of both, actually.
Oh, yeah, I would say so, definitely.
Okay.
I mean, well, it's a blessing, obviously, like what you said in the introduction, because it can bring people from all over the world, like really close together. It can show you parts of the world and points of view that you never would be able to see before. But I guess it's also a curse because it's around all the time.
And it's very easy to get obsessed with it and to get completely engrossed with it. Like the first thing I did today when I rocked up was I checked in on Facebook, of course, and I tweeted about being here. Yep. And, you know, you just stuff that 10 years ago would have been rude or unacceptable is totally overlooked today. Mm-hmm. So, you know, when I came in, I had my headphone checking down, which you just wouldn't have done, you know, 5 or 10 years ago. And it's changed the way we connect. But
is it because you're doing it at certain times or just because you're doing it at all? Because, I mean, checking in here and saying on Twitter, I'm here at Radio Australia and blah, blah, blah. If you're doing that in the lift where there's no one there, that's not necessarily a bad thing, is it? Should you be looking out the window and enjoying the landscape? Is that what you're saying? Or is it...
You've got quite a nice view, so...
No, but I think you really hit the nail on the head with that, Artan, and that's exactly what this survey is kind of talking about. You know, if you're in the lift, checking in on Facebook or tweeting, that's not face-to-face communication. But the difference is when you're actually face-to-face with people, and instead of talking to them and engaging with them, you're looking at your phone.
Mm. Well, I have seen, looking through the window or even being in the restaurant, and you've got a couple, and I've actually done it myself. I mean, let's
be honest.
Let's be honest here. And you'd be there with your partner, whoever you are, having dinner, and you're both on the phone, like literally both on the phone. Mm-hmm. And even when your food just comes, it's just like, okay, I better go. The food's just arrived.
Yeah, and now I have to take a picture of it so I can post a picture of my food to Instagram and tell everyone what I'm eating for dinner tonight.
That actually happened to me the other night. I was out with a friend, and we both share a deep obsession for all things Facebook related. And there were moments where we were talking and engaging, and then we were both just looking at our phones and waiting to see how many people liked the photo that we just put up. Really? And the waiter came up to us and he's like, wow, this looks like a really good conversation. And I'm like, you don't understand. We both get it. We both totally get it. So sometimes you speak the same language. Yeah. Exactly. And I was liking her photo and she was commenting on mine. So it was actually the perfect dynamic.
So it's okay. It's not rude if you're both into it.
I think so, definitely. It's just when you have different expectations and the translation, it just doesn't measure up.
Okay, so it's a generation divide, is it?
Well, not necessarily. I would say it's a usage divide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably. I mean, you can't really say it's a generational divide because when you're out in public, like on the train, you see just as many people from an older generation than mine, say, checking in and reading stuff and talking very loudly on their phone in a public space as you do young people. I think when it gets really different is when you can't disengage, right? When you can't actually turn off your phone for a second and give someone your undivided attention. Yeah. And that's really what I think is becoming harder and harder.
So what's the way to sort of do this? I mean, we all are now connected, and it's part of our job even to be connected, and it's good if you feel like you're actually not being social by not being connected, because you miss out on so many social events and so many things if you're not on social media. But what are the rules then that we should employ or maybe enforce? Does it come down to peers enforcing it with other peers?
Do you know, I reached a point where I realised that my addiction got quite out of hand. So I went on an online detox for 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really, it was traumatic. 72 hours of no Facebook, no Twitter, no Instagram, no email, no nothing. And it was really, really difficult. But I did learn some very important lessons. About 6 hours into day one, I fell off the wagon and I had a hit of Gmail. I couldn't resist. I was so desperate I even went through my spam. But yeah, those 3 days taught me to just switch off. It just showed me the importance of just the stuff that you just forget. You know what I mean? Eye contact, you get more aware. Like I stepped out of my apartment and I was like, I live right on Greville Street. That's like amazing.
Yeah.
Like there's so much stuff that you just take for granted.
And did you miss out on things by not? Like, did you feel like you missed out on a lot of the world by not being on social media?
Well, here's the thing. I was so worried that all of my friends would be like, where's she gone? She's gone dark. Oh my God, she's not here. And no one cared. I was like, guys, don't worry. I'm back. It's been 3 days. They're like, where were you? So you feel as though you're going to miss out on so much. The FOMO really takes over. But really, no one cares.
Yeah, right.
They're
okay.
busy. Your news feed is going to be filled with other people's activities, regardless of whether I am contributing to it or not.
Oh, that's a really depressing kind of feeling that you spend all this time trying to socialise with people and actually don't care if you're there or not.
They don't even notice.
They don't even notice.
I mean, I'm sure some of them did, but it's a much bigger deal to you than I think it is to other people.
It's interesting, the idea of taking a detox. I know people who have done that, especially with email, where they just will like kind of switch off while they're on holidays for like 2 weeks. Another interesting thing to do, and this is what we do generally when we go out with our friends, is we just shame each other. So if we're out for dinner or out at a pub having a good time and someone's looking at their phone constantly, we'll just make fun of them until they put it away. And then usually we'll try to all put our phones in a pile in the middle of the table.
I've heard about that.
You know, you feel really bad reaching to grab. It's when it's in your pocket. And you know, it's like sometimes my phone's in my pocket and I even I feel like it's vibrating or it's ringing, but it's not. It's like this weird phantom pain of like the phone going off. So you're constantly checking it.
That's an actual condition.
I know it is. Yeah. So you're checking it constantly. But if you can just kind of put it away, put it at arm's length, then it helps you kind of.
So is part of this game where everyone puts their phone in the middle of the table, and if anybody
goes
grabs
to reach for it,
they pay for the meals, is it?
Oh, well, you could do that. We're not quite
Please don't tell my friends, because I will be paying for every single meal.
We're not quite so mean. We just try to keep it kind of far away so it's not so easy to be distracted.
Although that's a pretty good lesson to learn. I mean, if you're fronting up with a huge bill at the end of the night, you know. That's all right. Hannah's paying. Let's drink all around.
I could never do that.
Really?
I just say sorry. I just check my phone. I'm like, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. The amount of times I've said sorry since Facebook came out is just, crazy.
So do we need courses? Is this what it comes down to? We need courses? We can't work this stuff out socially?
I think that having the awareness and the potential for education there even just on a basic awareness level is amazing. You know what I mean? Even some people might not need it, but to know it's there, I'd love to do it.
Yeah?
I reckon it'd be fantastic. I reckon I would learn and be reminded of stuff that I just forget. I think it's important.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good idea too. I mean, I feel like there's always things that we can be learning in terms of etiquette, whether there's social media around or not. So it's always good to kind of take courses on how to present yourself and how to, be a social person and be around other things or other people and other things. What I think adds a kind of interesting level to this is, I don't know if you guys do this, but when I meet someone now, I kind of internet stalk them.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll Google them or I'll look them up on Facebook and kind of find out a lot about them. And then that creates this sort of really interesting level of conversation where they tell me their stories, but I have to pretend like I don't already know those stories because I found them out on Google already. And I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. But really, I actually know what high school they went to. So I would be interested in taking a course that would teach me kind of how to navigate that new social environment a little bit more easily.
How to not pretend that you're a stalker.
Yeah, exactly. Lie better. The lie better class.
That's incredible. So you're not even researching them after you've met them because you find them interesting. You want to find out if they're interesting beforehand.
Yeah, totally.
Does that work against the conversation that you have? You think, actually, this person's quite dull. And I'm now not really engaged with this person when they're talking to me because I know everything they're going to tell me and everything they're telling me is dull.
I think it actually goes the opposite way because if someone's kind of a dull person, then there's not a lot that you can find about them on the web, right? It's like people who live these sort of public, vibrant lives are all over. So they're the ones you find a lot about. And so if I can't find a lot about someone on Google, then I'm really interested in getting to know them because there's something there new to find.
But a lot of what people put online is what they want people to see. So there's very much, I spend a lot of time in my offline world trying to curate and create content that will look good online. So there's also that you've got to take in mind. You can't take everything on, internet face value.
Yeah, completely.
Well, it's a fascinating conversation that we'll continue on social media. If you want to know more, you can log on to our Facebook at Facebook.com/RA.
Radio Australia.
Radio Australia. Radio Australia. Well, it's a fascinating thing. So will you be running a course like this, Jordana?
Oh my gosh, maybe.
Maybe?
Wow,
I think it's a great idea.
I'm in need of some, they call it netiquette, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need some.
You need some.
But I think Hannah's got quite a few tips to teach me. I mean, I'm there with the stalking. But and in fact, you could actually your level of surprise with all of this information. I think you're obviously far more polite than I am in real life conversation.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Or is it just
Wait, are you saying that? 'Cause I've been looking at my phone this whole time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, look, it's a fascinating conversation. It's one of those things that is playing out now and more in the future as well.
Yeah,
so
it's not going to go away.
it's not going to go away. Thanks for joining us. It's Radio Australia's social media coordinator, Hannah Classen, and social media trainer and commentator, Jordana Borensztajn. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Thanks
here
for
on
having me.
Radio Australia.
#awesome.
Hashtag awesome.
YOLO.
Radio Australia, on air and online at radioaustralia.net.au.